Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Adereri. To be very honest, to be able to fight corruption in Nigeria, we must drive financial inclusion. And financial inclusion simply means bringing practically every member of the Nigerian working population into the formal financial services space. If you look at Kenya, as of 2007, financial inclusion in Kenya was 25%. Today in Kenya, financial inclusion is over 80%. The same thing for South Africa, financial inclusion is over 81%. Singapore is number one. They have 100% financial inclusion, almost. The global average is 63% of financial inclusion, and then for the developed economies, the average is 78% of working population, and then for developing poor countries, the number is about 58%. But for Nigeria, I saw a report that did say that Nigeria had financial inclusion of 71%. It's not true. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Facts should be spoken to. We should look at the facts and then measure facts with reality. Based on the records at NIBSS, active bank accounts in Nigeria, just about 1.3 million. And of course, these are multiple accounts. There are some people I know that own 10 accounts, 20 accounts, 68 accounts in Nigeria, individuals. So what we used to know the number of actually financially to be able to determine the volume of financial inclusion is the BVN. The number of BVN accounts registered, the number of accounts that have BVN linked to them is about, as at the last count, December 2023, is about 61 million accounts in Nigeria with BVN. So simply means only 61 million people have that are financially included in Nigeria. That is, that have accounts from the microfinance banking space to the commercial banking space, and the rest of them, even to the digital banks, the likes of Opay, MoneyPoint, and all the rest of them. And of course, our Nigerian population is estimated to be about 17 to 23 million people based on population projection as at 2023. And of course, the working population of Nigeria, which is the age of 15 to 64, is about 54.3% of our national population, which is about 121 million working population, 121 million people. So if you have 60 million BVN accounts, that simply means we have financial inclusion of about 51%. So that number of 72% is not factual, and we should stop banding numbers. For us to fight corruption in Nigeria, we need to drive financial inclusion. I just read a post by one of my friends about a Nigerian who migrated from Nigeria to go and work in a Canadian bank. And the person thought banking in Canada or in America is like the rawness we do here in Nigeria. In fact, mostly what we do in Nigeria is not banking. What we do in Nigeria is mercantilism, rent-seeking, helping to cover up and to help political office holders and their private sector cronies to launder funds. That's basically what we do here, chasing deposit like mad people. The person went to the bank in Canada where he or she was employed, and he was thinking about, he went to his employer and was telling them how he can help people, how he can help to register, bring more account to the bank. And they told him, forget it, we don't need that here in this bank. Focus on your job. We don't go about marketing people for deposit. This is a country that has almost 100% financial inclusion. It's a cashless economy. It's an economy that is driven by credit. Everybody has his money in the system. So you don't force people to come out. You don't beg people to open an account. They know it's compulsory to open an account in any bank of their choice that offers them superior products and customer services. And that is what drives banking. They provide superior products and customer-centric services, and the people who open an account with you. But here in Nigeria, the level of criminality we have here is equivalent to the number of our volume of financial inclusion. We have a very huge informal sector. And of course, the nonsense we do here we call banking, which is not banking. Look around us. The criminality we have in Nigeria, because we have an inefficient, criminally driven financial services industry where everything goes. We have made proposals and advocated. We introduced the TSA. The TSA did not solve any problem. The federal government of Nigeria, in fact, the laws should be amended. All the three tiers of government, the federal government, the state and the local government, should keep their funds with the central bank. You know, this idea, they think you can't be fooling us. But states will keep their FAC and JAC and the IGR in commercial banks. And they will be, they play, you think Nigerians are not aware of the game they play. They will put the monies at 10%. What goes to the state is about 3%. 7% goes behind to the political office holders, the appointed office holders, the ministry, department, and agencies that introduce the funds in the banking industry. We recycle criminality and we think it's banking. That is why the banks in Nigeria are not funding any critical long-term infrastructure. Is there any bank in Nigeria that can offer 30-year mortgage, as we have in the US, single digit? Because we have a convoluted criminal system. Here is an active crime scene. We tolerate and condone all manner of nonsense. And that's why, so the Central Bank of Nigeria has a lot of work to do. The Minister of Finance, Prime Minister of Finance, we must drive financial inclusion in Nigeria. And to drive financial inclusion does not asking the top tier 1 and tier 2 bank to recapitalize to 3 trillion naira will not help us to drive financial inclusion. In the US, in even Singapore and some of the Asian tigers, financial inclusion is not even, you have a lot of different layers and tiers of banking. We should encourage, in Nigeria today we have over 44 million MSMEs, but they are not registered, they are not documented. Some of us even try as much as possible to provide private sector direction to this. Today, we're even developing digital platforms. I'm working with a group of people to develop digital platforms. What is the essence of that digital platforms? To enable artisans, service providers, manufacturers at the MSME level to register with us on those platforms. What is the essence of having them to register? Encourage them to set up into cooperatives. We have 8,809 electoral wards in Nigeria, 176,860 polling units in Nigeria. We can use this demography to drive it. If you know, this is the work that the state ministries of trade and commerce in the states and the federal government should be driving. We have a digital platform and we can provide it for them. We are already trying our best within our limited resources. Get the artisans to on board. Do you know why we do this? We will help them to organize unique trainings for them. Help them to access to microcredit funding. That is how you can woo people to be financially included. Not by forcing banks to recapitalize to 3 trillion when they don't even have presence in the hinterland. When we have an economy that has economic activities of over 1.2 quadrillion naira, but only about 600 trillion passes through the formal banking sector. So what is this whole unique ideas? For example, now you have vulcanizers. We encourage vulcanizers in every of the. We encourage vulcanizers. We are trying to recruit agents in every electoral ward. If we are every vulcanizer, we onboard them. We know how many number of vulcanizers. We will provide them with training and we provide them with funding. Mechanics in every of the 800 electoral wards. We will onboard all the mechanics. Really get them, set them up in cooperatives. Mechanics in my electoral ward, the Hube ward, set yourself up into cooperatives, you know, and take it up to the national level so that you can have a record, digitized record of what, who and who is into what and what in terms of craftsmanship, in terms of artisanal work, in terms of profession. Shoemakers, the same thing. Pharmaceutical patent medicine dealers, the same thing. Drivers, the same thing. Keke riders, the same thing. Motorcycle riders, the same thing. You capture them. The farmers, the same thing. Cassava farmers, the same thing. Maize farmers, the same thing. Tomato farmers, the same thing. You capture them. You have a whole inventory, a whole documented formal record of all those within the informal and formal sector, the 123 million working population. What do they do? What are their areas of specialty? So that it will help in national planning. So that we can be able to offer training, offer incentives, offer products, service, offer credits. Now, if they are into cooperatives all over the world, what governments do? If, for example, today in Nigeria, I'll give you an example, we have rice demand of consumption of almost about 7.5 million tons. But what we consume, what we produce domestically is about 5.2 million tons. Nigeria has capacity to produce 27 million tons of rice. Vietnam is doing it. Land mass, 330,000 square kilometers. Only 100 million people. We have one of the biggest water bodies in Nigeria. We can irrigate and produce 27 million tons of rice. In other developed and developing economies where people think creatively, the Minister for Agric, the Commissioners of Agric, and those at the local government area, Agric extension, they come together. We say, okay, holistically, we want to produce 10 million tons of rice. We will register all the right farmers, real rice farmers, not political talks that your names are input in the list. The rice farmers will encourage the rice farmers to put themselves in a bucket of cooperatives at the world level, at the local government area. When they've done this, we will now aggregate them. How many hectares of land do we want to cultivate? How many cottage factories do we want to set up to process it? How many cycles do we want to do in the year? They provide them with the right species that can give them about 6 to 8 tons of harvest per hectare. Then we will do commercial papers to fund them. We aggregate for them. And government provide guarantee. And when government provide the guarantee, the commercial papers are sold to Nigerians. Of course, we have commodity boards that will take everything that is produced, which is a form of another guarantee. And when we do this, these people will now go into productive work. We are assured of what we are going to harvest. We have an idea of how much we are going to process. We know how much we are going to consume. We know how much we are going to export into the rest of Southern Africa. And we do this across every strata. You can easily measure GDP growth and GDP growth per capita. And of course, under this arrangement, each of these members will then open an account. I expect us to be looking at having in every local government area many microcredit agencies under cooperative arrangements. Go to America, you see agro credit schemes, agro this, agro that, commodity this and that. Bigger than commercial banks. But here in Nigeria, we are so fixated with our criminal mindset. The federal government, the commercial banks have no business keeping the FAC, Jack and IGR account of states, local government and federal government. They should be domiciled with the central bank. When we have financial inclusion, when we encourage every adult working population of Nigeria to be included in the formal financial services sector, from the microcredit level to cooperative banking level to commercial banking level, when we have a system that biometrically and digitally capture the identities of every Nigerian through the BVN and the name, and we have a credit bureau system that enables us to checkmate those who have abused credit. Today we have over 5.3 trillion naira of taxpayers' money at AMCON. Monies borrowed by less than 300 people. Some of them are everywhere in the political office holders. In fact, less than 20% of the names in AMCON are control about 65% of the debts there. These are big men. These are the same people who are political office holders. We can improve and grow this economy. Look at Singapore. Singapore, last year alone, their trade transactions was over $700 billion. 5 million people, GDP that is bigger than Nigeria. They have a bigger GDP than Nigeria. Land mass, smaller than Alimosho local government in Lagos State. We can grow this economy. We can make here a paradise, but we need to overhaul the whole constitutional, physical governance framework of Nigeria, and we need to overhaul our mindset. Just imagine a banker going to Canada to think that he's going there to go and do Babia and the police chasing. Every day in Nigeria, there are people are tormenting you. Give me deposit. They want to sack me. Give me. In other clients, in Kenya, in South Africa, nobody chases you for deposit. The system is so transparent. That is why the South African economy, the capital market is over $1.3 trillion. Nigeria capital market is very shallow, less than $60 billion. Because we are so shallow and narrow-minded in our thinking. Come on, we can do this. This is an economy that ticks the right boxes to be among the top 10 global economies. When we talk about building a $1 trillion economy, it's a no-brainer. We can do it in 5 years. But we need to put the institutional reforms in place. We need to drive financial inclusion. You can only fight corruption in Nigeria when there is when there is over 100% financial inclusion. And when we do the right things, attach BVN, NIN, and TIN to every account in Nigeria, and to stop the states and local government areas and federal government from keeping monies with deposit money banks. They should put their monies with Central Bank of Nigeria, and to monitor disbursement and fund flows, because how they steal money, that award contracts, overinflate flyover contracts, overinflate road contracts by 300%, and then the private sector crony, a contractor, will take the money out, give it to Malam, they will buy them dollar, and they will filter it out of Nigeria. on. There is corruption in Brazil. There is corruption everywhere in the whole world. But they don't steal their money and take outside their country. God help us.